my God. Guys, are you seeing this? A few months ago, I ran into this video on my X feed, and I was immediately hooked because it combined two of my favorite things, basketball and technology. I wanted to know exactly how this is done, and I wanted to recreate it myself. I saw that Farza TV here had actually dropped a GitHub link to how this is made. So then I immediately jumped to GitHub and I looked through the code. What I was trying to understand is how are these frames being drawn? How is this person being tracked? And how is the score being counted? How is it displaying this real-time advice from Michael Jordan? So as I was digging through the code, I found this library called CV. Looking into this CV library further, I found that it is actually called OpenCV. It refers to open source computer vision library. So after seeing this, a few months went by and I had forgotten about this. Very recently, I'd set up a basketball hoop in my backyard and this idea all of a sudden came back to me. And a couple of days ago, I was wondering if I could just build this out myself because vibe coding has made programming fun again. And that may be controversial to some of you engineers watching this, but bear with me now. So then I fired up Cursor and I started writing the plan. But before that, I thought about who would my basketball coach be? Because it certainly is not Michael Jordan because I didn't grow up in the Michael Jordan era. And then several names came to mind. Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, LeBron James. Then it occurred to me, who in the NBA has the prettiest jump shot? And the answer is very obvious. It is Klay Thompson. So I wanted Klay to be my basketball coach. And then I wrote out the rest of the requirements, such as I wanted the video to be real time, the app should be able to track when the shot goes in, and then quickly run analysis on it. I also wanted to add this additional requirement where there would be this concept of sessions where players can just come in, start a session, shoot around a bunch. So at the end of it, they can walk away with a full picture of how their training session went. I wanted to use Gemini as my LLM provider just because they have a pretty generous free quota. Once I was done planning, Cursor ended up asking me a few clarifying questions, and then it generated the technical plan. Once I reviewed the plan, it looked good to me, and I asked Cursor to start building this application. Once Cursor was done generating the code base, I went on Gemini to create an API key. Once I pasted the API key, I asked Cursor to run this application. On the first run, there was a complaint of OpenCV not being able to initialize the camera, but the application still opened up. So while I encountered this issue, it occurred to me that I don't want to go outside and shoot the basketball hoop every single time to actually test this thing. So I wanted to create a way to actually feed this application a video file of me shooting a ball a couple of times and then run analysis on that video file, assuming later when I switch to camera mode and take it outside for a spin, it will work very similarly. So then that's what I prompted Cursor to do, and it added a video mode. Very conveniently, I found a video of me shooting a couple of shots in the past. So in the meantime, I use that video to test out this application. So here I go ahead and load that video up to test it out. And at this point, I have no expectations of this working out. Oh my God, look at the video, it loads. And look at that frame, that skeleton of my body, that's insane. That's insane, that's insane. Aside from the fact that there are two shot counters up and down, I think that went pretty well. After a while of marveling at this creation that I could just do in a couple of prompts, I started taking a look at the details. For example, as you can see, even when my shot goes up, the shot counter does not go up, or the made or missed also does not go up. So then I got curious. How is this beast actually working? I think this is a pretty good place to stop and reflect, where yes, you can absolutely work with technology you've never worked with before using vibe coding, but at some point, you're gonna create a beast where you don't know how the beast actually works. At this point, I had to start digging. So then I went back to Cursor and I asked, how are you counting the shots? So naively, I thought we were using OpenCV to actually determine when a shot was taken and when it was scored or missed. So then I thought the fault actually lied in the code that deals with OpenCV. And part of that was actually correct. Turns out the app detects a shot first by finding the orange basketball using color filtering, second, tracking its position over time, and then it detects a release where the ball is moving upward very quickly from a valid height, And then finally, it detects the completion when the ball is moving downward or leaving the frame. It then proceeds to trigger the shot callback when the completion is detected. And that all made sense to me, but what was the actual problem? And why is the shot not being detected? So granted that the shot tracking mechanism uses the ball position and velocity to actually dictate a shot, I wanted to first debug by actually drawing some skeleton when the ball is detected using OpenCV. And here I prompt Cursor to do exactly that. And after prompting with countless trial and errors, we finally got to a point where we could draw whenever a ball was detected. Look at that. Those are clearly balls. And then after some more trial and errors with little to no results at all, I decided enough is enough. We're gonna switch up the strategy. I asked Cursor that instead of using the ball position to detect the shot, let's use the motion dynamics of the player shooting. So this means using their arm and their wrist and its velocity plus position to detect when a shot was taken. And the results were far better. So here we can see it is detecting when I'm shooting, and it stops detecting when the shot is done. And again, when I'm shooting, it's detecting that I'm shooting, and it knows when the shot is done. Currently, the application is using me to determine if a shot was made or missed. But what I wanted to do was use Gemini to detect whether the shot was made or missed, on top of giving advice as Clay Thompson. So then I went back and prompted Cursor to let Gemini be the judge of whether a shot was made or missed. And I also added a panel on the left side so I could get real-time feedback after each shot. And here you can see after I'm done taking 2 shots and some delay, the first shot analysis actually pops up on my left. And this is because on the back end, it is actually taking the time to upload the video to Gemini, then Gemini is running an analysis on that video, and then sending it back. So that round trip is going to take far longer than the amount of time it takes me to take 2 jump shots. I could see Clay's feedback on the right-hand side, and on the left-hand side, I can see the video, and it's clipped to just that one specific shot where Clay is giving the advice. And that right there is fucking insane. After all of that use, I'd only used roughly around 3,000 tokens out of 250,000 that I get free from Gemini monthly. Now, after all the vibe coding, it's finally time to go see this in action. Let's do it. 46 degrees out right now, and I am thermal and hoodie layered up. And now that we have some test results, let's go and see how Gemini did. It looks like it says shot number 1 was made, but when I see it, it was clearly missing. And I love Clay's feedback. The form looks a little stiff, like you're trying too hard to stay balanced on a rocking boat. Now let's see what shot 2 was. Shot 2, it said I made it, and let's play it out. And I did make it, that's good. Let's see shot 3, it said I made it. And I clearly missed. And at the end of the session, if you saw that, I ran over my quota for Gemini for the day. So I couldn't get the overall summary of how my basketball training session went from Clay. But I do have each individual analysis for shots that I took during the session. And that is a wrap. I actually have the code for this uploaded to my GitHub repository. Everything there was written by Cursor. It was all prompt driven, all vibe coded. If you want to go check it out, play around yourself, maybe even test it out, feel free to do so. Let me know if this was helpful, if it was inspiring, or if this is something that you would want to keep building upon to see if you can get somewhere where it is actually useful for players. And secondly, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know if there are other things that you want me to cover or do future videos on. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.